us now, the editor-in-chief of the Federalist, Mollie Hemingway. Mollie, it's good to have you on. It's good to see you again. Okay, this story. Former President Trump, he really wants cameras in the courtroom for the 2020 federal election interference case, but Special Counsel Jack Smith, he's reportedly mad about that. He's claiming Trump wants to create a carnival atmosphere. What's he afraid of?
Well, not just what is he afraid of, but it's really interesting that he would say that you can't have cameras because we don't want to create a spectacle. After the federal government has done nothing but create a spectacle by raiding the Mar-a-Lago house, by indicting the president, up and down the eastern seaboard, by working to do political prosecutions of political opponents. If they didn't want a spectacle, then they should have showed some wisdom and restraint in deciding whether or not to make Donald Trump the very first person in the world that they cared about classified documents with at the presidential level. So it's really interesting that Jack Smith is working so hard to keep things secret. Also interesting that the Trump team wants it to be televised. They want people to see what's going on, and that they want that transparency while the government is seeking to keep everything under wraps is noteworthy.
We've got a list of media outlets are agreeing with Trump, saying, yeah, put cameras in the courtroom. And some analysts are saying this is tactically a smart move, because if Trump loses at this, if they say no to cameras in the courtroom, then Trump gets to say, well, I wanted you, America, to see this trial, but you know who didn't want you to see it? The Justice Department.
Well, he would get to say that because that's kind of been true. We've got gag orders against President Trump, so he's not allowed to talk about the political prosecutions that he's going through, even as some of these same entities are leaking against President Trump, putting things in the Washington Post and other media outlets to help them with their prosecution. That's a statement that will ring true with a lot of Americans, because it is true that the federal government and other Democratic law areas in the country are working to put Republicans in prison rather than contest things as they should be done in elections.
And yeah, we've got constitutional legal experts on with us saying the cure for this was he was already impeached. He was impeached over that, right? Over what happened on January 6th. But there's this story, too. ABC News reporting about video from the Georgia prosecutors. Georgia prosecutors interviewed former Trump attorney Jenna Ellis. Jenna Ellis tells them she was personally informed by a top Trump advisor that Trump was not going to leave the White House after the 2020 election. What do you think of that story?
This is another great example of those leaks that I was just talking about. We have not just hearsay about President Trump. We have hearsay that's not really adding anything to the debate. It is not a secret that President Trump strongly contested the election and was doing everything in his power to contest that. That is actually not a crime. And if the powers that be were interested in contesting elections, then maybe they should have cared about what happened in 2016 when the entire Washington, D.C. establishment ran an information operation against the American people to falsely claim that President Trump was a traitor who had stolen the 2016 election. If they cared about things then, if they had made anyone be held accountable for spreading that knowingly false lie and wasting so many taxpayer resources and doing so much damage to the country, I think they would be on much better grounding to talk about the 2020 election. But as such, no one, or almost no one, has been held accountable for that. And a leaked video that is hearsay is really not going to change anything, and really shows how weak Fani Willis's prosecution is.
Got it. Mollie Hemingway, you're terrific. Come back soon.
Thank you.